The game never stops, and neither do we. Welcome to the SDH Network. We're always around the corner from everywhere. Morning Espresso. It's brought to you by Oglethorpe University, Atlanta's premier undergraduate learning experience and soccer powerhouse. I'm Jason Longshore. We got tons of stuff to get into this morning. The U.S. women's national team with a big win last night. The Women's African Cup of Nations has a ton of questions around it, as does the Finalissima, and Iraq participating in the Interconfederation playoffs for this summer's World Cup. We got a lot of things to talk about with Arsenal and echo chambers and news from all around the world. But let's start with the SheBelieves Cup. Ali Sentnor is your hero last night. She scored the lone goal in the match, 55th minute, 1-0 win for the U.S. over Canada. The U.S. was the better team. They outshot Canada 18-6. Kaylin Sheridan for Canada made a number of big saves. Alyssa Thompson had a long-range effort in the first half. Sentnor had an opportunity as well. She finally gets the breakthrough. It was deserved. 3 goals in 2026 for Ali Sentnor. She's played as a 10, as a 9 on the wing. I really like her as a 9. She had a play earlier in the match where ball was played in after a good drive down the right side by Trinity Rodman, played into Sentnor. She first time cushioned past it back to Rose Lavelle, who put the shot over the bar. But that little thing from Sentnor, I think she's a very good finisher, but I like the rest of her game. I'm really intrigued by her as a 9 for this team going forward. Emma Hayes, after the match, she talked about the chemistry that is growing amongst the team's younger players. Obviously, the sisters, Alyssa and Giselle Thompson, have a lot of chemistry down the left side. She talked about just how much fun it was to watch the two of them, watch that start to be contagious amongst the rest of the group. Emma Hayes also talked about the team showing a lot of maturity in managing a tight match and a narrow lead. Rather than getting reckless, chasing the second goal, the U.S. controlled the final stages of the match. They get the 1-0 win. They limited Canada to only 6 shots and really limited their opportunities late. Hayes was really impressed by that, really happy about that. So you go to the final day of the SheBelieves Cup on Saturday in New Jersey. The U.S. will play Colombia. Canada will play Argentina. The U.S. only needs a win or a draw. And in addition to the match, it will be a celebration of U.S. legend Tobin Heath. Really cool stuff. It's been a good tournament. I think this Canada game was the test the U.S. needed, and they passed it. So they have to feel like they're in a good position for World Cup qualifying coming up later this year. Speaking of Women's World Cup qualifying, let's go to Africa. It's one of the more surprising stories right now, and it's also not really being talked about. The status of the Women's African Cup of Nations is in doubt less than 2 weeks before it starts. So it's scheduled to start on March 17th. The Confederation of African Football says it is still working to clarify whether Morocco will actually host the competition. What? What? The CAF communications chief, Luxolo September, he acknowledged that the issue has been under discussion for weeks. Said the matter is receiving, quote, urgent and high-level attention. Well, yeah, the tournament starts in less than 2 weeks. Morocco's been slated to host the tournament for a 3rd consecutive time. CAF President Patrice Motsepe reiterated as recently as February that the competition would proceed there as planned. The dates cannot easily change because this tournament also serves as part of the qualification pathway for the Women's World Cup next summer in Brazil. There have been persistent reports that Morocco could withdraw at this late stage. The logistics for the tournament have been hung up in the air. The uncertainty's already got frustration going elsewhere on the continent. South Africa previously offered to step in as host. Sports Minister Gayton McKenzie publicly criticized Morocco for leaving the status of this tournament so unresolved close to kickoff. Yeah, the tournament was expanded to 16 teams late last year. Sure, a few more logistics, but why are we on March 5th not knowing if this tournament is going to happen on March 17th? It's incredibly disrespectful to the players. It's incredibly disrespectful to the coaches and the staffs. This should not be happening. And all of it brings up a larger question. What exactly is going on inside the Moroccan Federation right now? There have been reports since the end of the AFCON men's tournament that Walid Regragui was going to step down as the national team head coach. We still don't know what's going on with that. There's reports that they were talking to Xavi, that he was going to take the job, and then he wasn't going to take the job. Now there's reports about one of the youth national team coaches taking the job. Nothing said, nothing known. I mean, there's speculation in France about what Regragui's next job is going to be. He's still officially the manager of the men's team. So to have that alongside this, Morocco is a top team in the world on the men's side. They have done very well on the women's side. They've done very, very well on the youth national team side. They had a great tournament with the exception of some things in the final that they could have handled better from a security standpoint, and they definitely could have handled Senegal's arrival into the capital city and into the stadium that day, sure. But in general, their hosting of AFCON was seen as a positive. They're part of the 2030 World Cup hosts. And now we don't know if they're going to actually have a tournament that's scheduled to start in less than 2 weeks. Like, this just can't happen in the modern game. It can't happen for a country that is scheduled to host part of the World Cup in 4 years. It can't happen for these women's national team players and coaches and staffs. It can't happen. It's got to get resolved. It should have been resolved by now. This needs to be priority number one. We'll see. Keep an eye on it. Let's go to the Premier League while I'm a little riled up. Let's go. Arsenal. They're not trying to win a beauty contest last time I checked. They're trying to actually win the Premier League title for the first time in quite a while. Their 1-0 win away to Brighton, it's not going to make a highlight reel, but it's the kind of result that can win you a title, and it used to be celebrated, these kinds of results, where you have to go on the road in the midweek, late in the season, you're still alive in 3 other competitions, and you go out and you grind out a result. That used to be a job well done, pat them on the back, mental fortitude, toughness, all those things. No, not right now. And I don't know. Maybe it's because it's Arsenal. Maybe it's just because everybody's trying to get their clicks and get their hot takes off. But this echo chamber is really getting weird in England around Arsenal at the moment. So, yeah, they didn't play well. They went into halftime with .01 expected goals, but they had a lead because a speculative shot from Bukayo Saka gets past the goalkeeper. Brighton created chances. They controlled large stretches of the game. Sure, they nearly chipped David Raya, but Gabriel makes a save off the line. Brighton's head coach, Fabian Hürzeler, after the game, he says Arsenal's approach was, quote, not football, pointing at time wasting and gamesmanship. Yeah, go manage in South America. Let's see how that goes for you. It's become, again, echo chamber kind of stuff. People always want to complain about this. Like right now with all the talk about set pieces and trying to speed them up, everybody keeps pointing at Arsenal taking time to set up set pieces. Well, yeah, they're really good at it. Then it got even more ridiculous. And Alan Pardew, who I guess is trying to become a stand-up comedian, never won a title in his career at any level, had to ask Carlos Tevez and Javier Mascherano at their introductory press conference when they arrived at West Ham what positions they played. He barely played Mascherano, who then went to Liverpool and was great, and then went to Barcelona and was even better. One of the greatest players in his position that Pardew didn't even know what it was. One of the greatest players in his position in the history of the game. But, Alan Pardew didn't rate him. So let's listen to what Alan Pardew had to say. He says that Arsenal should have an asterisk next to any title they win because their performances are, quote, functional and not beautiful. Alan, buddy, your teams weren't even functional. So let's watch this a little bit here. Mikel Arteta is just laughing at some of this stuff, I hope. Players, I hope, are laughing. It's really becoming bad comedy. It should not be happening. Arsenal are leading the Premier League by 7 points now. They are still alive to do the quadruple. 4 trophies they're still playing for on March 5th. Again, this is the exact kind of win that When Manchester United would grind this out in the days of Sir Alex Ferguson, they would be lauded for it. When Pep Guardiola's Manchester City teams, at times, although his teams have taken a lot of unfair stick as well, Liverpool, when they would go and grind out this result, it's like, oh, yeah, this team's tough. What are we doing right now with this conversation around Arsenal? It just feels like it continues to pile on. This is the best team in Europe right now. Like it or not, this is the best team in Europe right now. They are getting the job done. No, they are not going to be a team that right now is remembered for beautiful soccer. No. Does that guarantee them trophies? No, it doesn't. They are trying, and that's been the conversation. The criticism keeps shifting about Arsenal because the criticism had been, well, they can't win. Yeah, it's kind of nice, but they can't win. Well, now they're winning. Well, it's not nice. Like, stop. Give Arsenal their flowers. Give Mikel Arteta their flowers, regardless of what happens the rest of the year. To be alive in 4 competitions on March 5th, they are doing the business right now. Give them respect. All right, we're going to move a little quicker through the rest of the espresso. The conflict in the Middle East obviously is disrupting the soccer calendar. No decision yet on the Finalissima, which is scheduled for Doha on March 27th. Final decision could come next week. UEFA saying no alternative venues are being considered. There are other reports that alternative venues are absolutely being considered, including London and the United States. It's already logistical problems in other areas as well. The Iraq national team could struggle to participate in the interconfederational playoff in Mexico for a couple of different reasons. Their manager, Graham Arnold, is currently unable to leave the UAE, while embassy closures are preventing some players and staff from securing visas to travel to Mexico. So FIFA and the Asian Football Confederation, they're monitoring the situation. They have to get involved here and help Iraq be able to participate in this competition to try to get into the World Cup. All right, let's bring it back to the domestic side of things. Antoine Griezmann, as we've talked about here on the Espresso, he has reportedly paused his discussions about a potential move to Orlando because Atleti is in the Copa del Rey final. They are still alive on multiple fronts. The March 26th MLS transfer window deadline, they're not going to be resolved yet, Atleti's season. The Copa del Rey finals April 18th, for example. I said this was very possible. This is how it could go down. And now Orlando, I think, trying to play hardball, saying that, well, this offer might not be on the table in the summer. They're going to look at other options that are available in the summer, as they should. But that's where this stands right now. USL Championship, the start of the season remains uncertain. Negotiations between the league and the USL Players Association are continuing. It's scheduled to start on Friday, tomorrow. There is still a possibility of a player strike. Key issues, including compensation, health insurance, NIL rights, are all still on the table. They met for 5 hours with the mediator this week, but they have not gotten this over the line as of yet. Portland Thorns, they have hired Robert Villaham as their new head coach ahead of the NWSL season. Previously with Tottenham Hotspur, previously with BK Häcken in Sweden. FC Cincinnati, they are planning upgrades and expansion to TQL Stadium would add seating, premium areas, modernized fan amenities. They've applied for $136 million in state funding as part of a broader $545 million project that would include major mixed-use development planned next to the stadium. Around the corner, SDH AM starts at 9:05. John Nelson hosting. Chris Doran of the Columbus Crew Radio Network joining in hour 1. Nino Torres has some breaking news around the Portuguese League. That's coming up in hour 2, along with Nico Moreno of Pulso Sports. Later today, we'll have a new Training Ground Dispatch, Training Ground Notebook. Tata Martino and Ea Mihai both speaking to the media following Atlanta United training. Check out on the website, soccerdownhere.net, our feature on MLS Next Pro and the conversation that Ali Curtis, league president, had with John on SDH AM earlier this week. Talked about the growth, the ambition for the league, the rules changes that have now been approved for the World Cup. That started with Next Pro. Really cool to see. Great conversation with Ali and with John. Check that out at soccerdownhere.net. All right, the refill, news from all over the world. Also in the SheBelieves Cup, Linda Caicedo scored the only goal. Colombia beat Argentina 1-0. Colombia has a chance to win the SheBelieves Cup. They play the U.S. on Saturday. Pellegrino Matarazzo, American coach, has guided Real Sociedad into the Copa del Rey final to play Atleti. Took over about 3 months ago, and he's got them into the Copa del Rey final. Mikel Oyarzabal, he scored a late penalty, 1-0 win over Athletic Club, 2-0 aggregate victory there. Marseille, they crashed out of the Coupe de France. They lost a penalty shootout to Toulouse. New manager Habib Beye, it's been difficult for him to start, and now he has suffered cup exits in the Coupe de France with 2 different clubs this season. Jesse Marsh and Canada Soccer have begun informal talks about extending his contract ahead of the World Cup. I'm never a fan of that, but they're talking about it. He has impressed the Federation with not just what he's done on the field, but also getting involved in youth development, coaching, education, all those sorts of things. I think it's actually a really good fit, but I would probably wait till after the World Cup to do it, just in case things get crazy. Ask John Herdman about that. The EFL Championship will expand their promotion playoff field from 4 teams to 6 beginning next season. Teams 3rd and 4th will advance directly to the semifinals. Clubs 5th through 8th will compete in eliminator matches. Flamengo, they have hired Leonardo Jardim as their new manager, replacing Felipe Luis. The summer series is coming back in preseason this summer to the United States. 4 English clubs come to the U.S., Liverpool, Leeds, Sunderland, and maybe Premier League club Wrexham if they get through the playoffs. They're going to play 6 matches around the country. They'll be in Tampa, Nashville, New York, Chicago, and Philadelphia after the World Cup. Juarez, they stunned Club America 2-1 win last night in the Clausura in Liga MX as we're at the midway point. Early lead through Jairo Torres for Juarez. Alex Zendejas, the U.S. men's national team attacker, he equalized for Las Águilas, but a stoppage time goal from Guilherme Castillo sealed the upset for Juarez. Monterrey, huge win as the post-Dome Torrent era is now underway for Rayados. 4-0 win over Querétaro in Monterrey. Luca Orejano had a brace. Sergio Canales and Jesus Corona also scored for Monterrey. Inter de Bogotá, the club that is owned by Wrexham owners Ryan Reynolds and Rob Mack. They are the leaders in Colombia right now, and they have added a player with European experience, Ian Poveda, born in London, eligible for Colombia internationally, went through Chelsea, Arsenal, Barca, Manchester City academies, has played professionally in England. He strengthens this Inter de Bogotá side that is right now at the top of the table in Colombia. And our old friend John Texter, if we weren't spicy enough today. RWDM Brussels, the club that is forgotten about as part of Eagle football, and I think they forgot about it. They didn't pay some of their scouting subscriptions. I don't know if it was to Y-Scout or if it was to something else, but there were reports back in January that they didn't pay subscriptions to these things. So as the club was preparing for the end of the transfer window, they didn't have access. Not good. Now, RWDM Brussels have been docked 3 points after failing to repay outstanding debts related to the transfer of Canadian forward Kwasi Poku from Forge FC in the Canadian Premier League. About $800,000 in Canadian dollars. The Belgian club has not completed the required payments. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Yes, RWDM are part of Eagle Football Holdings, which is led by John Texter, allegedly, kind of, maybe not at this point, who knows. This whole network of clubs, whether we were talking about Botafogo or Lyon, at one point Crystal Palace, although not anymore, now RWDM Brussels, all kinds of financial issues, not paying their transfer fees, governance issues. It's a mess. The club says they're going to plan to appeal the sanction. Sure, you didn't pay. There's not really much to appeal. And they're going to try to resolve their financial obligations. Again, I don't know if Eagle Football even remembers that they own this club. Who knows how this is going to go? Just stay tuned, and John Texter will probably say something silly about it. Okay, sorry, I've been a little spicy today. It happens. When you have all these different things going on, and especially Alan Pardue running his mouth, this is what happens. The news cycle, though, has given us some reminders about how wide the soccer conversation can be on a given day. We've got the U.S. women's national team with a big win, Sentnor with a big breakthrough moment, Arsenal still on the verge of winning 4 trophies, even if they're not impressing everybody at the time. You've got this craziness with the women's AFCON tournament that we don't know if it's actually going to happen. We've got to figure out a way for Iraq to participate in the Interconfederation playoffs, let alone Iran participating in the World Cup this summer. There's so much going on. There's always things that intrude on the game from the external side that we can't control. We can control if we want to subscribe to echo chambers and say the same things that everybody else is saying and just keep piling on and being negative, like Alan Pardue, like Paul Scholes taking shots at his former teammate Michael Carrick. Just all the things. We can make a choice in that area. We can't control everything, but we can control if we want to believe or not believe in these things. We always choose to go our own route on the Morning Espresso on the SDH network. It's what we do. You guys are used to it by now. Hopefully I haven't upset anybody too much this morning. Apologies if I have, but I'm just speaking my truth. All right, we'll get into it again with another Morning Espresso tomorrow. Make sure you are subscribed to everything going on the SDH network by following us at Soccer Down here on all your social media platforms. I'll see y'all tomorrow.